So there is a distinction set forth in the Word of God between natural reality and spiritual reality. But though there is a distinction, it's important to recognize that they are not fully separate from each other. So what I mean by that is that physical nature actually affects the spiritual dimension. And in the same way, the spiritual dimension affects what happens here in our physical reality. Now, everything that is natural is not bad. There's been a misconception in the church that if it's natural or carnal, it's automatically bad. And that's just not the case. What we're about to see is that God manifests himself through both spiritual and natural ways. And actually, the devil does the same. He manifests himself through spiritual and natural ways. Ephesians chapter 6, verse 12 says, "For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the powers, against the world forces of this darkness, against the spiritual forces of wickedness in the heavenly places." We see here that Satan doesn't just operate in the natural, but there is a spiritual dimension. It talks about it as in the heavenly places, the spiritual dimension where these rulers and these powers of darkness are operating and are keeping people and cities and different areas actually in bondage to sin and darkness. And then we see God manifesting himself in natural reality in Romans chapter 1, verse 20. "For since the creation of the world, his invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood through what has been made, so that they are without excuse." So when you see a majestic mountain, that is God, in a sense, displaying his nature, displaying his beauty in creation. I refer to the heavenly realm as the superior reality because this is the place where God has full control, full dominion. His will is fully manifested without any hindrance. No hindrance of sin, no hindrance of the devil, no hindrance of any dark forces. His will is fully manifested. And so this is what actually takes place in heaven. Before the throne of God, we see his will fully in existence. Now, I try to cultivate a little bit of what heaven will be like. And one of the main purposes of my exercise in doing that is to figure out, okay, if that's what heaven's like, then that's what I'm aiming for here. I want to see heaven invade earth. And so one of the chapters and verses that have really helped me just catch a little glimpse of heaven is here in Revelations chapter 21, 3 and 4. "And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, 'Behold, the tabernacle of David is among men, and he will dwell among them. And they shall be his people, and God himself will be among them. He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and there will no longer be any death. There will no longer be any mourning or crying or pain. The first things have passed away." So we need to look at this verse and then also consider the Lord's Prayer, what Jesus is saying. Remember Jesus, he says, "Your kingdom come, your will be done on earth as it is in heaven." So what we see here is a bit of a glimpse into heaven. And it shows us what we are aiming for here on the earth. Heaven is our eternal destiny, but as we discussed before, eternity doesn't begin just after we die. We have the opportunity to actually have a taste of heaven here on earth. We get the possibility of being able to reflect some of the nature of heaven in our earthly existence and in our earthly circumstances. It's really important that we understand this. Otherwise, we are going to just continue to long for something that in part we're able to experience right now. There's a part of me that I'm just really excited about one day going and being in heaven and seeing Jesus and just the amazing experience that that will be. But there is a period of time that God has designated for me to be here right now. And I believe that instead of just sitting back and waiting for heaven, I am actually called, and we are all actually called, to bring a reflection, a taste of heaven to the earth. It's what Jesus did when he was walking on the earth. He brought a taste of heaven to earth.